Montserrat Stratian Voices, and our voice today is Sharmen Greenaway. Welcome to my Montserrat. Sharmen, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. It's a beautiful day outside.
It is. For the people who might not know who you are, tell us which part of the island you're from.
Well, I'm from across the gut. I'm from Fairfield, Fairfield Trials, Roderick.
Right.
And basically, I grew up under the volcano, or on the Chances Peak.
Mm-hmm.
And can imagine what that was like. Well, you would imagine from what you're seeing now, but not really. It was really, really beautiful growing up in Broderick. The areas around were so sort of picturesque. You could see right down to Richmond Hill. You could see the horizon, the sea. So it was really, really beautiful. Right.
And you went to Kingston School, right?
I did, actually. Kingston School, Kingston School is one of those phenomenal schools on Ireland.
Right.
Because you have a tremendous amount, varied experiences at Kingston School. And if you went to Kingston School, you come out resilient, not only experienced, but resilient, you're knowledgeable, and you're experienced, and also you're in touch with nature.
Mm-hmm. So you lived up on Fairfield, which meant that to get to school, you had two ways to get to school. You could go the long way around Trials, or you could take, that shortcut down the hill by Lawyer there.
Yeah, I used to take the shortcut, actually. The thing is, you just run down the hill.
Right.
And after school, you just run up the hill.
Right.
And as a result of that little hill, I eventually, when I got a little bit older, I became an athlete. And I used to do distances, middle distances.
Uh-huh.
And so all that running up and down the hills of Fairfield, maneuvering the guards and the
right.
rocks, whatever have you, resulted in me becoming, having a lot of stamina.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, I sort of competed in St. Kitts, Nevis, Antigua against other athletes because I had the ability to run the 800 meter, the 400 meter races.
Uh-huh.
And I did get a gold medal for the 400 meter race in Nevis at some point in the 80s.
Right.
It's very cool. It had its moments, the tracks we used to walk to go to Kingston School. We actually prepared you for things in the future. Yeah,
true. And then, so you eventually moved on to MSS. Which house were you in at MSS?
I was in Greenhouse. And Greenhouse was the house that won for many, many years.
Okay. I'm a Blue House guy, so I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
Everybody knows Greenhouse was on top.
Okay.
Later on, Greenhouse became a bit weak. But maybe that was when the really great athletes moved on.
Oh, okay. In my day, it was blue and orange.
Well, blue and orange were always behind. There were times when there was competition between green and blue. Sometimes orange, but I'm rooting for green all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Green was the house to be in.
And MSS itself was another, phenomenal experience. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, of course, going to MSS shape your future, your formal education that determines, where you went in terms of career, profession, in the future. I can remember, away from the educational bit, I can remember that big tamarind tree, at the back of MSS where we used to hang out during the break. And it's something I actually miss. When I look at pictures of the volcano and the devastation in Plymouth, I remember that big tamarind tree at the back where we used to have a lot of fun. We used to have a lot of games and stuff. Just hang out there, make friendships, socialize. So I actually miss MSS for that. And the other thing about MSS is that I actually learned to cook some of the dishes I can cook now at MSS. Despite the fact that my mom is a great cook, things like Johnny cake. Mrs. Watt taught me to make Johnny cake. And she did. I mean, the thing about the Johnny cake is that she taught you how to deep fat fry. It's something my mother never did. She did the shallow fat frying.
Right.
But making Johnny cakes in deep fat gives it a very distinct texture and flavor. It's something I still practice, and trust me, people still enjoy the Johnny cake.
So you have a novel out. You do some poetry as well.
Yeah, I do.
Tell us about your poetry.
Okay. Well, I've been writing poetry since I was a little girl. I mean, since I was going to Brownies and then Girl Guides.
Mm-hmm.
And later on at secondary school, you know, when at secondary school, when you're growing up, you became a teenager, and then you're experimenting. You're experimenting with love a lot as well, just writing words,
right,
you know, related to love. And I think that's where I actually started my writing career, you know. And over the years, I've written, I mean, loads of poetry. Some of it quite good, some of it, you know, just makes sense only to myself.
Right.
And so eventually, what I did do was to publish that in 2009,
mm-hmm.
I think. I put it all, I mean, a lot of it together and publish it, and the book is out there now, but it's something I really, really enjoy doing.
Okay. What's the title?
It's called Reflections Concerning Mind, Body and Soul.
Okay.
That can be found on Amazon if one were looking for poetry. It has a range of poetry in it, really, some about history, culture, and relationships, about the Montserrat volcano. My favorite, actually, is about a young man from Montserrat I actually met in London.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at Burger King, and the guy walked in, and he looked at me as if he recognized me. And then he went to do his order, to make his order. And while he was making his order, he was using the word sauce, as we know it. But so he was saying to the cashier, he said, "Can I have some chips and chicken with some sauce?" But because he was so posh, he said, "Sauce."
Mm-hmm.
So the cashier asked him, "Can you explain what you're saying?" And he tried to explain, so he kept saying "sauce." So in the end, the cashier appeared to get a little bit upset, and he said, "Sir, can you tell me exactly what you want?"
Right.
And the guy now reverted to Montserrat English, and he said, "He wants some sauce." And so within myself, I looked away quickly because I was embarrassed. You know, I was like, "Oh my goodness, you're so posh now. You've reverted to the dialect. I'm sure the guy won't understand that." But I was wrong. The guy actually turned around very quickly and went and got the order for him. So he understood exactly what he wanted.
Right.
So he probably was messing him up with the guy. But it's kind of hilarious because it just shows that sometimes we talk in these posh, you know, accents, blah, 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 understand us, and quickly we revert to what we actually know.
Right. I've noticed that.
And people do understand us, despite the fact that we think, oh, they won't understand the Montserrat English. But they won't, because it's broken English, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite poems in the book.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna look that up.
Okay.
Okay, so tell what's the title of your novel?
So this is non-fiction.
Uh-huh.
It's called Montserrat in England: Dynamics of Culture.
Okay.
And as it says, it focuses on the Montserrat journey of the Montserratian folk who went to England from 96, 97 onwards, following the volcanic eruptions. And remember, around that time, I mean, a lot of us Montserratians, we left. More than half of the population left.
Right.
When we went to England, it was because we got the okay from Britain, or the British authorities, to move to England. Because we couldn't cope, we didn't have housing, you know, jobs were a problem because of the movement from the unsafe zone to the safe zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the book actually tells of issues or challenges that the Montserrat folk encountered related to accommodation, social interaction, how they actually embraced modern England and issues related to modern England, culture, you know, how they adapted, how the children adapted to school and discipline. And school and discipline is a big one in England, because there was a lot of discrimination as we know it. And although, to some extent, Montserrat folk are accustomed to some form of maybe discrimination, but it's on a very, very small scale. The extent to which they experienced it in England was totally different, and this actually affected the progress of some children.
Okay.
And so there are examples of that in the book. The other bit that is actually ongoing at the moment and can be a big issue for parents of Montserrat children in England is that of discipline. Culturally, we use flogging or the whip or spanking, whatever have you, correct our children. In England, that is a sort of no, don't go there, because the fear is that social services will take your children away. And so there are examples of persons or individuals who have experienced correcting their children in that way, and the children, they have been confronted by the authorities, and the ongoing fear, even now, is that if they correct their children in a culturally, what they think is a culturally appropriate way, that the children will be taken away from them.
Right.
And they can remain in the social services system for a very, very long time, even until their children are grown. And so, what the knock-on effect of all this is that we've seen young people caught up in various aspects of maybe criminal activities, negative activities, which has not been conducive to their future growth and development, really. So this is something that the book actually tells about, narrates about, and these are real-life experiences.
Did you put a lot of research into this?
Well, I started writing this book late 2009, early 2010, and I got some help with the research. There's a young man in Birmingham. He's called Udwal Ema. We actually know him as Tyro. He's from Corkill.
Okay.
And Tyro, actually, he's my cousin, but he completed a master's degree in social work. And as part of his degree, he actually did a piece of research on the Montserrat situation following the volcanic crisis and migration to England. And we agreed that this just fitted in with what I was writing and the research that I had already completed. So, from my perspective, my research was mostly having one-to-one discussions with people, and I didn't sort of put a questionnaire in place and document the results, because I felt that was counterproductive. People don't like the formality of that.
Right.
It was more useful to have just informal discussions with various people in different areas of England, and this worked out quite well. So, in addition to that, I used Udwal's research to reinforce the contents of the book.
Okay.
And the research is actually in the book at the back as an appendix as well, so people can see what people actually wrote. Because what I did was not to write word for word what people wrote, but to write it into a story and give examples.
Oh, okay. And what has the response been like from the people who bought it?
You know, I've had very, very positive responses from people. People have made comments like, "Oh, from the time you open this book, from the preface to the end, you have to read and you can't put it down until you're finished." People have said they've been captivated by by reading the book, the contents of the book. I think the other thing I need to say is that I've actually, so this is not only related to the journey in England. What it does actually, is take the writer back to experiences we had in Montserrat, cultural experiences that, all intents and purposes, are now lost. So experiences around hot water ponds, what used to happen there,
right?
Children having like your Sunday school treats there, the hot water pond itself, the bubbling springs, its medicinal purposes, it had healing properties. People thought if you had a particular disorder and you were to bathe in it, then they felt that you would be healed, and people kept coming back for that purpose. And then Sufre itself, the volcano,
right?
That was a regular hiking spot for people, and the journey to Sufre itself is, it's awesome because you meet with nature. You can see guavas, mangoes, the foliage, all that is beautiful. It's what we've lost.
Right, and another thing is that you remember that hike up to Chance's Peak, going up to the top of Chance's Peak.
Oh, Chance's Peak. Growing up in Fairfield, Broderick, Chance's Peak is a place that my siblings and I went very, very often. So we went up and there was that pond in Chance's Peak.
Right.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, right, of course.
And we thought that I used to look in that pond, look at myself in the pond, my reflection in the pond, and I used to think of the mermaid that we said lived there.
Right.
Come out and walk down to the village, that sort of thing. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was, and
really missed,
You had all these fascinating stories about Chance's Peak.
Absolutely.
And the view from Chance's Peak is just you can't even describe that.
Awesome. Oh, there's nothing like that. And to think that we've lost that. I just felt, writing this book, I felt, for the future it was worthwhile capturing what we had and the journey we've taken, and where we're heading actually. But this book actually covers, aspects of our lives, the culture, what we used to do. It looks at things like St. Patrick's Day, where did that come from? How does it relate to our heritage, to our Irish connection, that sort of thing. It also looks at Juve Jump Up. I mean, I used to love, Wake Up Early Morning by Saltfish Tale.
Right.
It talks about that, going to town to jump up, young ladies, walking along, young men climbing an evergreen tree, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It covers all those. It just reminds you of what it was like. And what it does also is, when you have your children, your grandchildren, who for Montserrat, it will only be not even a memory, or something that they hear about.
Right.
Or on the other hand, if you take them to Montserrat, it won't be the same. It won't be the Montserrat we knew before. But this book will actually captures what it was, and your children can read it. They can pass it on to their children and their children's children.
Right. See, that's
culturally appropriate too.
Yeah, that is something that I think about a lot. I mean, my children will never experience the Montserrat that I grew up on.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I think we need to. I thought that we need to document the culture while we can still remember it, so that we don't lose it all. When I was doing my research, I went on the internet and I checked books, and here and there, one or two people have made attempts to write, on aspects of the culture. So somebody has written about Jambi dance,
right? Has
written about the language, but I just think they haven't really captured enough in totality to make sense in one go.
Right.
When you read about the culture, you want to think, you want to think of it. You want to have a picture in your mind of Montserrat. So just reading it, you have to buy many books to actually get a true picture, which obviously as human beings we don't like reading a lot of anything to get one big picture.
Right.
So it's all captured in this book actually. So it's something worth having actually.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I mean, there's another thing, as Montserratians, we haven't really done a very good job of documenting our culture. I think we sort of took it for granted.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of it. From the time Montserrat began, as we hear about it from Christopher Columbus, from the Caribs and the Arawaks, we don't have any of that. What happened during when the Arawaks were here. We don't know. We do not know what our relationship to the Arawaks are.
Right.
Caribs are. I actually wrote a bit about the Caribs, and this was like in the form of a dream wedding. I mean, picturing what the Caribs, what they were like, how they did things, how they dressed, that sort of thing. Because that's part of our culture. We don't want to lose that.
Right.
And the other biggie about the book is I've done a chapter on the Montserrat language. Because that's one thing the Montserrat dialect is one thing we do not want to lose. And we know we have a lot of subcultures in Montserrat at the moment. There's a cross-culturalism that if you're not careful, it will water down the language.
Right.
It's going to be mixed up with Guyana, Jamaican, the Dominican Republic. What you have is something else, not Montserrat dialect as we know it. So I've written a chapter as a sort of maybe a traveler's guide, someone who wants to talk in the Montserrat dialect. If you're in Montserrat and you were in a restaurant and you wanted to order something,
right?
How do you say it? And it's not, the dialect is not really written anywhere, and you have a lot of variations of it written by people who are non-Montserratian.
Right.
And even on the island itself, if you listen to the tone and the sound of the Montserrat dialect, depending on where you're from, it sounds a little bit different.
Yeah, everybody in a sound is here.
No, absolutely not. So I've written it from the across the gut perspective. Because whatever we speak across the gut actually captures what is spoken in town as well, because we're so close to town.
Right.
So I've done that in the book, so it's a sort of guideline. It's not done. It hasn't been done that way before.
What's the title again?
Montserrat in England, Dynamics of Culture.
Okay, and it's available online everywhere?
Available at Amazon, www.amazon.com. Actually, if you just type the title in Google, you just Google the title, it actually comes up. A number of bookshops are carrying it. You'll have to order it from them. Barnes and Nobles in the USA, they actually carry it. You have to order it as well from them. You can order it online at Our Universe. And so it's very, very available. It just jumps up at you when you type the title in.
Okay.
I'm sending some copies to Montserrat. Actually, I've posted them. And Ron Barzi, I think they have these outlets, Ron and Kat's products.
Right.
And they will have a supply for people in Montserrat who would like to buy, because obviously it's a bit more costly for them to order it online. That will be available maybe in a week or two.
Okay, nice.
The books are also available from me. So I've been sort of publicizing it on Facebook, word of mouth. Response has been very good. I've actually run out of my supply of hardcover copies. Still have paperbacks. And the book is also available on Kindle or on your ebook. So if someone actually just wants to buy it and read it on their computer, they can do so. It will be downloaded to their computer.
Right.
It's more cost effective to do it that way. However, a lot of people prefer to have a keepsake.
Right.
For the future. So the thing is, it's in so many formats that whatever people want is available.
It's available to everyone. Okay. Have you been touring?
I have not been touring yet because I'm very, very busy at the moment. And then winter came. But I intend to, in a couple of months, I'll be around doing some book signings. For this year, I intend to go to some of the islands as well, including Montserrat.
Okay.
And talk about the book, some book signings, and just publicize it, really. Okay.
You didn't make it to the Lit Fest last year, did you?
The book was not ready.
Okay.
The book took a lot because you have to get it right. When it's non-fiction as well, you have to pay attention to what you're writing, make sure it makes sense, that it's correct. Everything has to be correct.
I suppose.
So the editing took a lot of time.
Okay. So you're gonna definitely try and make it to Lit Fest this year?
Oh yeah, that's one of my goals. Okay. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be there.
Okay.
I also want to go home for Christmas.
Yeah, it's a big 50th.
Yeah, a lot of us are thinking, look, we just gotta get home, meet up, and sort of revive some of those experiences we've had in the past. We've got to do that. So I really want to go home for Christmas as well. I do not know how it's going to work doing both, but I'm going to aim for both the literary festival and also, you know, Christmas. So we'll see what happens.
Did you touch on the jumbie table at all in your book?
Oh, I did. And I mean, alongside that, there's a chapter that focuses on traditional recipes. So it talks about the goat water, talks about the Johnny cake, it talks about, what do you call that? Well, setting the jumbie table.
Right.
Also, it gives you step-by-step guide as to how you set your jumbie table. So I haven't left much out, if anything. This book contains so much. Only the kitchen sink is missing, and even that too. That's in it.
I mean, the jumbie table is something you grew up with. It fascinates me greatly. I mean, it's not, I haven't kept up with it, but you know, still fascinates me.
You know what we used to do with the jumbie table thing? My mom used to pretend she didn't like setting the jumbie table because she didn't believe in jumbies.
Yeah.
You know, jumbies is a part of the Montserrat culture.
Big part.
What about jumbie tamarind tree?
Yeah.
You know jumbie tamarind tree.
Yeah.
Anyway, so mom used to set the jumbie table, and on the jumbie table they had Monge rum, they had perk sponge. But as kids, you couldn't touch the alcohol.
Right.
And what my siblings and I used to do, in the night when they were sleeping, we sneaked out to the table and we would take a quote, you know, the cover of the perk sponge, you know, that's sweet, that's nice.
Yeah.
We would take a sip of it. The next morning, you really couldn't get up because you weren't accustomed to alcohol and it just knocked you out. And then we weren't smart enough to realize once you've broken the seal, your parents would know. So obviously you'd be in trouble. But that didn't change anything. Every year it was the same story.
Right.
Taste of the perk sponge.
And then you want to get into the food early Christmas morning.
Absolutely. All those foods, you know, we used to have. You know how we used to go from house to house sampling people's various dishes that people cook, because everybody's food has a different taste.
Yeah.
And Montserratians are great cooks, I'm telling you.
Yeah, true that.
For me, the biggie was the cake, because everybody baked black cake, didn't they? And everybody's cake tastes different. So that was the biggie for me. I don't know how I didn't get fat, but...
Boy, I have a serious thing for black cake.
Do you?
Yeah.
And I must make you some as well.
Black cake as well.
It's better than I am, but, you know...
Oh, really?
And make it as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go just about anywhere for some black cake, when I'll allow you.
When last have you had it?
It was last year. I got some last year from somebody up here.
Okay.
Like early last year, I think.
In August, this last year, my mom celebrated her 80th birthday in England, and this young lady made black cake. I could have done it, but she did it because she's also doing the icing, which she did beautifully. I held that cake for a long time. I mean, I had it in my freezer, and every time someone visited me, I just gave them a tiny bit of the black cake, and I had a little bit myself. And I'm telling you, it's finished, but I need some more. Yeah,
you gotta have black cake. You know what I liked on the jumbie table too? The liver.
You like liver?
Oh yeah.
I like liver, but I can't remember, you know, people put different things on the jumbie table.
Yeah, true.
And we didn't have any liver on ours. We didn't have no liver, but you know, we did have saltfish.
Right.
I love saltfish.
Yeah, me too.
We did have saltfish, and you used to have, you know, especially Christmas time, it was like saltfish for breakfast. You had your combination saltfish, your boiled egg. You had, sometimes you had a little liver as well. You know, when they felt that you should have it, you had your Johnny cake, and I mean, that was nice.
Yeah,
really nice.
I hate to report. And they used to always tell you, you can't touch it before morning, but just tell you to tamper.
Oh, yeah, you just make a little piece and they won't miss it. But the zombies can't get more than you, can they?
Yeah, really.
That's not fair, is it?
No. It's amazing. The jumbie thing it's a huge part of the culture. You can't have a discussion on culture in Montserrat without talking about jumbie and the jumbie dance and the jumbie table.
I know. But the zombie dance in itself was quite phenomenal, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
About giving your child the correct name. Because remember what used to happen with the zombie dance is that a child would be sick.
Right.
And no medical intervention would be able to heal them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would have to revert to zombie dance.
To zombie dance.
And you know what happened in the zombie dance, where they have the dance, the quadrille, and somebody would actually have that connection with the dead.
With the dead, yeah.
Who would send a message and say, all right, call that child. You know what? My sister was called Barberfoot.
Yeah, everybody had a jump. Did you have one? I got my zombie name early.
Yeah, my zombie name is Di.
Okay, here's the thing. I never knew what your real name was. Me only just know you by your zombie name. And that happens to a lot of Montserratians. The people you call them by a certain name, and that's all you really knew them by.
Man, listen to this. In England, right, my mom has a zombie name, right? And I wrote a little bit about the zombie name thing in the book as well. And Mom, she was sick. She was in the hospital at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a young lady from Molyneux who cared for her. And so the young lady called her by her zombie name. So she said, Miss Manon, how are you? My mom turned around and said to her, don't call me that, she said. And she told her, call me by my proper name.
Mm-hmm.
The lady, I heard about it. I spoke to Mom. My mom said, under no circumstances she wanted to be known by that name. So I had to remind her, this was a zombie name.
Yeah.
She would know you as. It's cultural.
Yeah, that's it.
And while I was writing the book, I actually thought, nobody calls me by my zombie name anymore, but I actually miss it.
But the zombie dance is something that, they had banned it after a while.
Is it? I know it had phased out, but I'm not sure if they actually banned it officially.
Yeah, I thought they had banned it officially at one point.
I really wondered why it just disappeared. You used to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it myself, but I've had so many stories. Like Daddy used to tell us so many stories about the zombie dance.
And Brim. You remember Brim?
Yeah, I remember Brim.
Brim was that place right down there by
When you left Trials.
Yeah, when you go across the gut behind my house. Eh?
Yeah.
Right, and they used to do a lot of dances, zombie dances and stuff by Brim.
Have you witnessed it yourself?
No, I haven't. I just missed that. I never got to see it.
Yeah, my dad used to play the five.
Yeah.
So he too was involved, and so many stories we've had about the job. You felt as if you had seen it.
Oh yeah.
During the stories,
and I spent a lot of time around him because him and my grandfather were friends, and you listen to them talking all the time. That's one of the advantages.
They were friends. That's why he was friends with your little community that's around there.
Right.
It launches across the road from you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, and so one of the things, the advantages of growing up with your grandparents is, you get to hear a lot of things. You hear a lot of stories, things used to happen when they were growing up, and things they experienced, and I treasure that these days because that's stuff we're never getting back.
But that's what we're missing, because now there's that divide between grandparents and the children and the grandchildren. Not intentional divide, but because of the disruption caused by the volcano.
Mm-hmm.
So in England, for example, grandparents might be in a home or living somewhere else. Because of the daily toils and challenges, people can't live with grandparents anymore.
Right.
Plus the housing and accommodation doesn't allow for it. It's not big enough, there's not enough room.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is sort of displaced. And so the storytelling has gone. That close connection you had, that family connection, it's all gone, really, gone, but hopefully not forgotten.
Right.
All in the book, and if people buy the book, then they'll have something, a keepsake for the future.
So listen, it was a pleasure talking to you, and, good luck with the book and everything.
Thank you so much. It was good talking to you. Good catching up as well.
Yeah. Whenever I see you again, I may call you by your jumping name, just so you know.
Oh, you better do that. All right, thank you so much.
So, this is Montserrat culture. We'll be proud of it forever.
This is Montserrat culture. We'll be proud of it.